Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and here today I've got game 1 of a best of 1. It's a ZvP and it's on Whirlwind, so let me get straight to the point and introduce these two players. Spawning in the lower left position, from Team Liquid, the red Zerg player, it is Snute, who's been playing exceptionally well recently, and his opponent up in the top left position, the blue Protoss player from FX Open, BabyKnight. So, vertical spawn positions are on the cards. Whirlwind is a fun map. That means Snute will be expanding to this third base, and then probably this fourth base, because taking this base would be pretty bold. Because as a Zerg player, you never want to expand towards your opponent. Actually, it's pretty rare that you ever want to expand towards your opponent unless you absolutely have to, and on Whirlwind, you never have to do that, so you never would do it. So far, BabyKnight is getting the pylon in the main base, so it's not going to be the tried and tested Forge Fast expansion, much more likely to be some kind of gateway expand, which means pressure. And pressure means excitement and action early on in this game, and that means fun. Because fun means I get a little bit overexcited. You hopefully don't get your ears deafened by me shouting or getting too over the top hyper, but it does mean that you will hopefully enjoy yourselves, and if you enjoy yourselves, that is good, and it means I've done my job. The players, if they've enjoyed themselves, then they've got a bonus, because they are pros after all, and I hope pro players enjoy themselves. I think you must. Like, I know that a lot of pros get to the point where they've played so much and they're just like, oh, the last thing I want to do is play some StarCraft, which I know for us mere mortals is tough to understand, but I can kind of see it, that if they're playing all day, every day, they want to go and relax. Maybe play a little bit of Tetris, something to let them unwind, and of course Tetris is the game of choice if you need to relax, because nothing is more relaxing than being like, oh, if I just get 4 in a line, I'll be able to win this, and then you get that stupid Z-shaped one. And then you just throw your Game Boy across the room, screaming and shouting at how the game's broken and OP, and just whatever you want, and then you storm out of the room. But I never did that as a kid. Never, ever, ever. But yes, back to this game, which is StarCraft, which is a spectacular, fantastic game. We've got the Cybercore on its way. We've got the second gas coming down as well. And the Overlord about to scout these. Hey, that's a cybernetics core. This was not what I was expecting. Not at all. Okay, Cybernetics Core, I better start preparing for this. I don't really want to get my third base down now super quickly, because if you are getting a gateway and a Cybercore off of one base, that means that I don't need 3 bases, because I'll still be a base up on you. And that just means I need to get some units out to make sure I can defend, and if I can defend, then I can take my third base as soon as you try and secure your natural. What I'm waiting for is, will BabyKnight get a Mothership Core? Will he queue it up once he hits 100 gas? Almost certainly, because a Mothership Core plus a little bit of aggression can mean lots and lots of fun. But currently BabyKnight actually just pumping out a Sentry and another one queued up after this. So this in itself is a bit more unusual. Usually when you see a 1-gate expansion play, it tends to be a Zealot or 2 Zealots and a Stalker just to come over and pressure with the Mothership Core. So this could throw Snute off a little bit. It's not uncommon, of course, to see these sentries, but usually Protoss players try and be a bit aggressive. A reason BabyKnight may not be doing that on this map is just due to it being a rather large map, and it would take a long time for any aggression to come over, giving Snute plenty of time to see what's coming out. And I believe BabyKnight also spotted this Overlord floating in, so knows that actually he scouted me, and he should be prepared for dealing with anything that I could throw at him. So this is all looking good. Snute is going to go and take his third base. Notice it's a lot later than we normally see it, though. 5 minutes 15, probably about 5 minutes 20 by the time it goes down, so just before then. This is all great news for Snute, because he's still going to be in a lovely, comfortable position. His third base will be up just fractionally later than BabyKnight's natural, so that's still fine, because he's going to be injecting off of 2 hatcheries. He's got his third queen already, going to town, laying down that creep tumor, going to be spreading them creeps all over the map, which is great news for him. The Forge is coming down, we've got the gateway as well, so a nice little wall off, 3 sentries. The sentry count really starting to rack up. Warp gate tech is nearly finished as well. Still got 2 gas geysers mining away perfectly happily. This Overlord just going to escape. Obviously wasn't seen, otherwise these sentries would have come and killed it. Snute though, he's just doing what all good Zerg players should do early game, which is making drones and overlords while injecting. Inject now, come on, I pointed out that you should be injecting, Queen, thank you. And that just means that he's just going to be macroing up, and macroing up means we should get into a mid-game, and if we get into a mid-game, that means we should get excitement. What we'll be seeing are these two players. Let's theory craft completely blindly, because in a game like StarCraft, when there are many, many options of what you could do, Snute is going to go for a lot of speedlings. They're not going to have too much fun though. Speedlings are going to be completely ineffective against a wall-off with 4 sentries guarding it, because that's a lot of force fields and a lot of wall off. Not going to do too much. His proxy pylon should get shut down fairly easily though. Well, it hasn't actually been spotted yet though, but of course, knowing that the probe's there, will get taken out. Snute coming over for a bit of pressure. The mothership core is there. The sentries move out at the worst possible time, but luckily there's not that many Zerglings there, so that means that they will get forced back. So BabyKnight coming through a little bit of delayed pressure. Does only have the single warp gate, so 1 gate pressure coming out of him here. A hallucinated Phoenix coming to get some scouting information, but already we see Snute there with the Roach One, with the lair timing, everything piecing together. A good number of Zerglings already on the field with 16, 6 more on the way, and that just means that BabyKnight, he doesn't want to move out. He wants to just poke and prod and be like, hey, maybe I am going to come and kill you. Maybe I'll force some units. We've got the Queen now falling back. This Phoenix getting a good look around, sees, hey, guess what? I'm a Phoenix. I know everything. I know that you've got the Roach roaring down. I know that you're happy mining off 3 bases. Everything I expect you to be doing, you are doing. So BabyKnight gets down his Twilight Council, still only producing off of a single lone... Oh, no, actually, no, there are 2 more gateways here. I can't believe I said, after how many times have I looked at these 2 gateways? What is wrong with me? 3 gate pressure is what's coming down. And this just means that ultimately Snute does need to be a little bit careful, but so does BabyKnight completely in the center of the map. There's a lot of speedlings here, and the speedlings actually running around, but with the watchtower held, it's pretty obvious where they're going, herped up. So warp in Stalkers, the photon cannons there, the Zealots there as well. These Zerglings probably not going to have too much in terms of an effective push into here, but Snute, he's getting out some Roaches, and these Sentries and the Zealots are not going to be able to do any damage at all with just so many Roaches there. The force field already going down, forcing a lot of energy out there and a mass recall just to make sure they get away safely, because Ling's coming from behind. So very nicely defended there by Snute. He has been forced to make a lot of units though, so that means his worker count only at 57, and that is not that much above that of his opponent's BabyKnight. But creep spread coming down on one of the 3rd locations, although BabyKnight more likely to take that 3rd. But Snute, he can run around with these Lings absolutely everywhere. He can keep very good map dominance, keep his opponent pinned on 2 bases. We do have the robotics facility coming out, but late tech just due to the fact that we've got the blink upgrade coming out and additional gateways. So all in all, BabyKnight focusing on upgrade heavy play as opposed to tech heavy play, and that means that for Snute a really great composition for him potentially is to get some more Roaches out, get some Hydras out. He's getting his Infestation Pit on its way, so that just means that with the Infestation Pit he could be going for some Swarm Hosts, which would of course be a very good composition when you know your opponent is unlikely to have any Colossi out, which will be able to do the splash damage to deal with the Locust. So this is really what we'd want. The only thing which would really not be a great choice at the moment would probably be Mutalisks, and that's just due to the fact that Blink's on the way and there's a good number of Stalkers already. It doesn't work too well against that, but as we see, the Roaches are starting to move forward. Lots of Lings. Look at this map awareness out of Snute. I really want to highlight this. He's running just a few Zerglings everywhere, just to see if there's any hidden expansions, keeping 1 Zergling at pretty much every possible expansion location. He knows for sure now no sneaky shenanigans are going on and is able to be pretty safe. Now this is an interesting choice out of Snute. Getting pathogen glands, it's something we don't see that often. Kind of harder to swarm. He hasn't actually, as far as I'm aware, seen the Twilight Council. No, he hasn't, so he doesn't know Blink is getting research, so it's not even in a direct account to that. Just going for this Ling Roach Infestor composition that would have been oh so normal come Wings of Liberty, but now BabyKnight does have to be a little bit careful. He's got 5 sentries out, but we have a good number of Roaches and a good number of speedlings here, with 1 being sent up, just taking a look, saying, oh, there's quite a big army there. The 3rd base still can't go down because the creep is not quite yet receded, but now it can get started. Snute, he's got a bit of a bank building up here. There's still only a 58 Harvesters pumping out so many units, and here comes the Swarm Hosts. So, Pathogen Glands was actually cancelled in exchange to get Enduring Locusts. The Hydra's also coming out, so it's going to be Swarm Host Hydras in competition. A couple of Roaches getting caught out of position here. This is exactly what BabyKnight wants. Units, but 3, because 3 units are great units, but so does Snute agree, and that's why he's making Swarm Hosts, because then he gets 3 Locusts, and as I said previously, 3 units are good units, because anything you kill with them, very, very cost effective. This is a good little scout though. The Hallucinated Phoenix sees the Swarm Hosts straight away. BabyKnight knows what to deal with, but he's got double Colossi production. He's also got extended Thermal Lance on the way. He's chrono boosting everything out. And the thing with Swarm Hosts is they only really get effective at the 8+ mark. Before that, not really where they want to be. He wants to make sure that ultimately he can get as much coming down as possible. A good wave of Locust in, but a lot of Lings stream through here, and this could be a bit of a problem for BabyKnight. He doesn't have his Mothership core here, so there will be no mass recall. The Immortal gets taken down, the Sentries get taken out, a lot of gas getting lost, and this is really not what BabyKnight would have wanted. That was a great engagement there for Snute, really leveling out the resources lost, and now the Swarm hosts are able to push forward, get into a good siege position. The Rocks do want to get taken out to maximize the area these come through, to minimize the effect of force throws, but with so few Sentries now on the field, there is not many of those to be in store. So we've got the +1 Carapace done. We've got the first 2 Colossi hitting the field at the moment. Hive is nearly complete though, and that means that we can get Vipers. Vipers mean Abducts, and that means Colossi no longer can sit right to the back in the safety of the Gateway Forces. The Infestors, the Locusts still pushing forward. The Roaches getting taken out, but these Swarm hosts just in a very, very strong position. There's only a single observer. It's with the army at the moment. One thing that Snute isn't doing that I really, really wish he was, is that any Zerg player here right now, if you go Swarm hosts against Protoss, bring an Overseer or 2 with your army, because then you could snipe off, if you've got anti-air in the form of Hydras or Corruptors, you can snipe off the observers, and that means your Swarm hosts are all but indestructible. And that in itself is a great position to be in. Roach is coming from the side, just going to be picking off this pylon. 4 Colossi are now on the field though, and that means that a lot of damage can get done very, very quickly. But Locust coming in from the other side along with a good number of Speedlings. This Nexus could get focused, and a lot of DPS can go down from Locust and Lings. And as we can see, it's taking tremendous amounts of fire and does get sniped off so easily, so quickly, and most importantly, very cost effectively. BabyKnight now down to just 2 bases. Snute, he's got his 4th up and running already. His 5th base is nearly complete as well. Really pushing forward, getting a lot out. More Swarm hosts are in production. Groove Spines, we've got Hydras on the field. The Hive is now done, and of course, on 5 bases, which will be complete very shortly. 8 gas already. You can get a lot of Hive tech units. Twilight Archive, Templar Archives, really good decision here actually out of BabyKnight, because this Templar Archives is going to allow him to get Storm. Storm does one-shot through Locusts, and in itself is a great way to deal with a single wave. But remember, of course, energy-based spell, that just means that if you don't really push forward after the first set of Locusts, you're going to have a really bad time, because the next wave will be out shortly, so you've got a window of opportunity that you have to exploit. Otherwise, the Zerg player will just be back at you very soon after. The first Vipers are on their way out. These Overlords doing a nice little dance at the moment, just wanting to follow a drone so they're all stacked up, and that's a nice little Overlord dance. They like being together. They huddle together for warmth and comfort, and just the knowing that they've got friends nearby. Drone transfers coming down, up to 10 gas now. Snute's income, astronomical. Look at this gas income. That is pretty good. He's mining over double the gas of his opponent, which some might say is a nice position to be in. Some Roaches just committing suicide in the most cost-effective manner they can, because ultimately you want to free up supply. Roaches are not supply efficient late game, so this is all very smart and logical play out of the Liquid player. BabyKnight, what he is doing is also good though. He's making sure that he plays quite passively at the moment, tries to secure this base up and just get up a very large, powerful army. The one thing that could potentially be missing though are any form of air superiority units such as Void Rays, which would just be very strong against these Swarmers. But of course, with the Hydras out, that would be a bit of a problem. The Vipers are on the field. We've got 4 already down. We've got 2 more on the way. Actually consuming Spore Crawlers, which is an interesting choice, but this just means that ultimately they're going to have a lot of energy for a lot of Abducts. These Colossi could be running into problems, but already we see 7 Colossi are on the field. And Ultralisk Cavern is 3/4 done, but now the Locusts are just never ending. We do have 11 Swarm hosts on the field. The one thing that actually doesn't have a particularly great upgrade, it is currently 3 attack with 1 shields up against what's going to be 2-1 when it 2-3, sorry, shortly. Viper's trying to get into a nice position, ready for those Abducts, but the Stalkers are being oh so cautious. And there we go, some great feedbacks. BabyKnight absolutely sensational at dealing with Vipers very, very efficiently. A lot of these Locusts getting taken out by those by the Colossi. But a good Abduct goes down there, one gets sniped off incredibly quickly, and we can see just how efficient it can be getting Abduct on those Colossi. Well, a good number more consumes coming down here, but as more High Templar come in, it becomes harder and harder because those feedbacks are so effective against Vipers, and BabyKnight is just a master of executing them and really being able to pop those Vipers as if it was, well, as if it was popping candy, because I can't think of a better analogy at the moment. Still though, this Swarm host doing a nice contain, keeping BabyKnight on just 3 bases. Snute is up at, actually not that high, only at 64 drones compared to 73 probes of BabyKnight, but he's mining on 5 bases. He's got 10 gas up, and that's the real thing he needs. He's got a good number of minerals in the bank. Ultra's starting to hit the field as well now. Chitinous plating, not research, not even, it's actually now a quarter star. So that in itself means that it's quite a long way away from completion. No infestors either for any kind of fungal growth to lock down the stalkers, but there's some good abducts. 2 Colossus do fall, and of course there are still 3 more there though, so they start pushing forward. Quick consumes, trying to go down on these 4 crawlers. Desperate Snute is in order to get some more abducts. That's what he really needs. The Ultralists, 2 taken down, 1 still remains, 3 more on their way out, and this is where Snute really starts transitioning into tier 3 tech. Isn't aware though that we do have this 4th base on its way down, and that just means that Snute can't go and snipe that off, because it would be very vulnerable to a small push, especially when BabyKnight's army is being forced to stay here to defend against wave after wave of Locusts. And everything you lose to Locusts is just incredibly cost inefficient, but BabyKnight doing a good job of being as cost effective as he can. The Hydras have now spotted this 4th base, and this is going to force BabyKnight to come and defend this. We see that the Zealot's taking quite a bit of damage, quite a few probes getting taken down, all of the army getting pulled back, but that means the Locusts can just start moving in here. So many cannons are in position. Do we have storms ready? Yes, we do. They're being forced to be used at the moment. A photon overcharge also on its way. The Colossi do get abducted. The Hydra's doing some nice damage there. Some feedbacks are getting hit. This is such a tense game at the moment. Storms are still hitting as well. Most of those Colossi do manage to back it out perfectly safely. Another one does fall there, though there are 3 still left on the field. The Vipers trying to consume incredibly far forward. I'm amazed BabyKnight didn't just try and snipe that out. We've got more Hydras in production, plus 3 missile attacks. We've also got Archons, more Colossi, plus 3 shields, all on their way out. So both these players upgrading heavily. The Colossi count getting a bit lower. Some sentries at the front of the army there, tanking up a little bit of damage. So is a High Templar. That is not what you really want to be going up against. Units that cost the Zerg player nothing at all. These Swarm hosts have been so effective throughout this game. A couple of Ultras, a couple of Hydras coming up towards the 4th though. This could yet again force BabyKnight back to that base in order to defend. An Archon gets abducted, just gets taken out very quickly. Storms going down though. Storms on those Swarm hosts as well are going to pop them, and finally the siege line will get broken, but the Ultras can't get a little bit of indecision here, don't know whether to come back and defend or whether to take out that 4th base. Snute now with 4 more Ultralists on the way. His middle is getting a little bit low. This is where you really need to drone a lot harder. He's only at 57 harvesters, and that is completely his own fault, because BabyKnight has not killed any drones this game. He's just been making buildings and not replacing his harvesters. I don't believe the FP ever went above 70 or so, so really a light drone count to play this very aggressive style, but that's now hurting him because he doesn't have the money to just remax very quickly. He's got a huge amount of gas, but just not enough minerals, so really could do with some more drones. And there we go, he's done a small drone wave there, up to 71 again. The Vipers consuming these evolution chambers. Evolution chambers are the most cost-effective way to use consume, by the way. A little fun fact for you. We've also now got these Swarm hosts, the Ultras, everything starting to move forward, and at this point, it's really up to BabyKnight to work out his late game composition. Snute is going for some more Swarm hosts though, because he's been effective with those so far, but as we can see, Snute losing a lot more resources than that of his opponent. That's not what you want to be doing when you're going for something like Swarm hosts, where you want to be incredibly cost effective just due to the Locust being free for you. So this is something that obviously Snute needs to try and fix going into the next wave of his attack, but what I'm loving from BabyKnight is he's just started the Stargate. That Stargate means one thing. It allows him to start getting out Void Rays, start transitioning into Sky Toss. Void Rays are very strong. There are quite a few Hydras out though. That could be the only problem. The Hallucinated Phoenix now getting a good little scout. Trying to shoot the Vipers, but not going to achieve very much. Snute taking a 6th base as well, so just expanding everywhere. But a 5th now on the way for BabyKnight, who's definitely coming back into this game very effectively. Held off the siege from those Swarm hosts so well, and now looking to be very strong. The Stargate is nearly done. We've got Adrenal Glands just getting started, and +1 melee weapons, so that's why these Ultras aren't hitting as hard as I'd like. They're currently 0-5 upgrades, +3 weapons. Missile attack is complete though for Snute, so that means the Swarm hosts and Hydras do hit hard, but they're not being, well, they're not out in great enough numbers at the moment, and we see Snute's bank looking a little more comfortable now he is maxed out. He's got those 10 Swarm hosts there. They've got to get in a good position though. Zerla very bravely charging into a group of Locusts, but just look at the number of Colossi. We've got a good 7 out on the field, and 7 Colossi able to just shred through that, but the Vipers, they are trying to get ready. Do we have any High Templar? Yes, 5 there, but they've got to be careful not to move too far forward because they will expose themselves, and that means that they could get taken out very easily. Snute is unaware of this base, so he can't do anything about that. Can't go and push that out, but these Swarm hosts in a much nicer position than they were before. Good storms coming down on the Hydras, and Abduct goes down on a High Templar, but does get a feedback while it's flying through the air. That's, of course, very important. More of these Vipers are getting feedback on, and as we see, BabyKnight, he's starting to push forward. Snute there with a good, well, actually BabyKnight with a good supply advantage, and Snute forced into a full retreat. straight away now. BabyKnight taking a good lead. Snute remaxing on some Hydras and Ultras, but just engaging head up against this massive Colossi Archon Stalker force. He's not being very effective at all. These Ultras just shredding to just the sheer firepower of Protoss at the moment, and he has brought... Well, he's brought his A-game right here, BabyKnight. He's held this off spectacularly well, and is just going to start pushing forward very, very effectively. And Snute really in a lot of trouble, because once a Protoss player does start getting this momentum, does start dealing the damage, what do you come after them with? Well, 10 Ultras is the solution that Snute is going to be trying to go for. He does have that +1 melee attack, but that is a lot lower than, of course, the 3-1-3 upgrades for BabyKnight. His army, very scary, very potent. The 5th base is now up and running. BabyKnight is still keeping with his opponent in the work account, and that's one thing that Snute hadn't really ever been ahead with this game, was economically, and that's never too fun for him. He wants to get a good economical advantage as a Zerg player, but he's got a relatively good mineral bank, but spent all of his gas. Now the Hydras getting a bit caught out of position there. The Colossi are able to get quite a few shots off. A couple more Hydras do get taken down. The creep tumors are getting vaporized. And this is just BabyKnight slowly tightening the grip on his opponent, slowly clamping down with the vice-like movement of his army, and this is where Snute is not going to be feeling too comfortable. He knows he's got these Ultras out, but the lack of any fungal growth or anything like that means that he can't lock down this Blink Stalker force. They can just blink back to safety, can kite the Ultras quite effectively, and that is not what Snute wants. He wants them to be able to get up and in, give the deadly hugs that Ultralists do so love. But BabyKnight, he's going to have none of that. His 5th base mining quite nicely. He's got these double Stargates, but he's maxed out, so can't really produce anything out of them. Getting +1 air weapons. These Stalkers, these carriers, these Colossi still moving forward. The Immortals still moving forward. The work account basically identical, but the income for BabyKnight is being so much used so much more effectively. Look at how much cost effective he's being. About 12,000 less resources lost for the Protoss player. Here comes the Storm though. The High Templar are sliding forward. There goes down the Abducts as well. Great Abducts at the moment. That manages to pick out a good number of these Colossi. This is exactly what Snute needed. Most of BabyKnight's force does get taken out here, but Snute is losing a lot in the process. The Ultras trying to om-nom their way through. The Colossus is being allowed to live momentarily, but will now be focused on. That was the last Colossus available there for BabyKnight, but he's starting with the Tempest production. So, a bit of a mutual destruction, but that is exactly the best Snute could have hoped for, really. He managed to break that slow advance forward of the Protoss. And now he can try and remax on what he feels is going to be best, but he's getting out a lot of Ultras. We see Tempests are getting produced, Chrono Boost going down on them, and this is starting to get into a really fun, a really exciting game. I'm hoping you're liking it as much as I am, because this is absolutely brilliant. The Zealot will get not taken down quite yet. The Spine Crawler will be the hero, gets a kill, good Spine Crawler, and Snute expands yet again. So currently we've got a 7-base Zerg player, about to be, well, actually just flat up against what seems to be a 6-base Protoss. So these two very economically similar at the moment. Snute has done another couple of waves of drone. We've got more Tempests coming up, but being kept in the main base. Doesn't want to reveal that they're out on the field yet, just in case Snute was to switch into, say, some Corruptor production, which would be very, very effective against those Tempests because of the fact that they're massive units, and therefore they get bonus damage done to them. But Corruptors, not really on the cards. There's no Spire down, just this Ultralisk Cavern, and that means Snute, he's coming for the counter-attack, but BabyKnight is now remaxed out, but he's completely out of position to defend his main, third, and natural, and that is precisely where Snute is positioning himself to go. The single Colossus that was just popped out will see this force, though, for a brief second, will get abducted and will get killed. Of course, now though, the Viper's running forward to their death, unfortunately. The Tempest doing a nice amount of damage, do manage to take one out. Where is BabyKnight's army? It's coming round from the top, he's trying to get a safe engagement angle, a tight little choke where a minimal number of Ultras can engage at a time. Great feedback's going down. Tempest besieging from the side. The Storm getting so many of those Hydras, the main damage dealers of this Zerg force. BabyKnight crushing the Ultralisks here. And Snute, he's being forced back yet again. An offensive blink forward, trying to deal with the remaining Ultras. You've got Snute taking more expansions down to the right. This map is getting mined out pretty quickly by these two. Oh, so desperate to try and keep their economy functioning well. 9 Hydras, 7 Ultras. Snute, though, he's still behind, or only just going ahead in supply now with the 8th Ultra, but BabyKnight, he's going to have a big wave of warp-ins ready soon. We see that all of his warp gates are out of cooldown. We've got the 2 Stargates there as well. Good number of Tempest here. 2 Colossi, a third, and an Immortal also on its way down. This is just getting seriously tense, and as we see here, the 8th base now for Snute on its way. He's got to keep the minerals coming in, because if he doesn't, he's not going to have the income to keep this game going. But now up to 93 drones, he's going to have a fairly substantial income indeed. We can see here his mineral income 1,000 more a minute than his opponent, his gas income 300 more a minute than his opponent. That is what Snute needs to really keep pushing into this, because currently he's lost nearly 20,000 more resources than his opponent. That is monumental. That could be the defining stat of this game, because BabyKnight, even though he was up against Swarm Host for such a long period of time, dealt with it very well. But Ultras are counter-attacking. Meanwhile, we've got Zealots taking out a hatchery here. A couple of Ultras on their way up at the side. No, they cannot deal with that. These Ultras will be able to take out this base, but it's a base that's only mining gas. It's not the most efficient one that could have been taken out. But with BabyKnight's army down to the right-hand side, he had no other choice. BabyKnight advancing forward yet again. Up here, the Ultras still doing some good damage. We've got a big counter push coming in from Snute. He's just running in, trying not to engage this force, but he knows he can't deal with those Tempests and Colossi effectively, especially when he's only got a single Viper on the field. So, just trying to deal with the economic force, but so is BabyKnight here. Zealots warping in everywhere, running to all of the bases, trying to cripple Snute's economy, and is doing an okay job of it so far. The Archons now doing some nice damage against these Ultras. The Stalkers helping as well. The 3rd base will fall of BabyKnight, but it was only mining a microscopical amount. The hatcheries taking a lot of damage, but the Spine Crawlers protecting this 5th base. The 6th one though, the 7th base will get taken out. The army now pulling back here to clean out the units at the 3rd. Snute at 148 supply to BabyKnight 182. Now down a base as well. Work account wise still just ahead. Does have this bottom right base. These Spine Crawlers have really been the saving grace for the Liquid Zerg, but as we're seeing, this game, it's just spectacularly good fun. I'm loving this. It's so action-packed. Another wave of Zealots are on the way through, but more Spine Crawlers are nearly complete. The Ultra is there as well. Nomming its way into everything. +2 Zerg melee weapons is complete, but +3 not even started yet. That means that the upgrade advantage heavily there for BabyKnight, who is at 3-3-3 weapons, armor, shields. That in itself is a big advantage. We also see that the air upgrades are looking fairly good with the +1 weapons, so +2 is about half done, or actually about 1/3 done there. So this is just really allowing to push forward. Speedlings with Adrenal Glands, with the 2-3 upgrades, are going to be able to deal with these cannons relatively quickly, and this just means that hopefully Snute can do some economic damage to stay in this game. He's got a Ultra and Hydra's pushing in, but look at this. BabyKnight moving straight down with a full force of his Protoss army, and is able to start crushing through these static defenses. A few units that are doing their utmost to defend. Meanwhile, up at the 4th base, the Photon Overcharge is doing a good job, and Snute forced to GG, and that is BabyKnight successful in his defense of the early siege from Swarm Hosts, in his counter pushes, and just generally in his map dominance and taking all those bases in the late game. So an absolutely brilliant macro-orientated but still action-packed ZvP there. Let me know what you thought of that game in the comment section below. Remember, leave a cool comment and like the video, and of course subscribe, because I get new games up every day of the week. Hope to catch each and every one of you tomorrow. I'm Madals. See you then.